This is Peter Prop, Principal of the Marketing Leadership Practice at Shore Communications. And we are back with Brett Goldberg, the founder and CEO of QRSYNQ. And Brett has been guiding us through the different opportunities on the QR landscape. And we've been using a blog post I wrote on my peterprop.com blog as a template to go through. We've talked about the USOpen and what they did with parking. We've talked about Panasonic and what they did with a treasure hunt or passport-style trade show application. And we've got two more scenarios from the USOpen to talk about. The first is Chase, and Chase has really done a great job of embracing mobile technology, and they actually. One piece of mobile technology they do really well that started them off, I think, is embracing a check reader at their ATMs. And so they have this check reader at their ATMs that everyone loves because you don't have to fill out a deposit slip and your checks go in beautifully, and it's very, very simple. And you get an image on your receipt, if you like it, of the check. They also introduced a mobile app, which is phenomenal, which allows you to take a picture of your check and deposit that way. And you don't have to go to the ATM. You can just take a picture of your check. So I had downloaded the app, but I hadn't been able to connect it to my account yet. I saw that Chase had a booth at the Open, and they had a sweepstakes that if you took a picture of a check that they had out using the app on your phone, they need people to try the app. They're trying to drive trial of the app on the phone, that you'd be entered into a sweepstakes. So it worked for me because it got me to register the app, which is a process that they obviously need to take very seriously. This is your financial record and this is your bank account, and so they need you to do that very well. So I took the time while I was in line to register the app against my account, and I got it all working. And then as I was standing in line to take a picture of their check, which they had out, a guy came up to me and took all my information down on an iPad and entered me in the sweepstakes. And then I was no longer able to enter in the sweepstakes using the app on my iPhone. So basically this guy, totally well-meaning, was just not trained. He was an untrained trade show person, right? And sort of just shortcutted my experience with Chase.
Well, one thing I'll say is that check scanning is really the way to go.
Right.
As a small business owner, I've been using a desktop check scanner for 3 years now, and I think that there's no one business appliance that has saved me more time than my beloved check scanner. I use a bank down in South Carolina, and they provided me with this check scanner, and I'll never leave them because it saved me so much time. So I think that, bringing check scanning to the consumer is brilliant.
Right.
And ultimately, it's unfortunate that your entree to check scanning wasn't perfectly seamless, but once you start using it, you'll never go back.
No, I agree. But let's just talk about it from a trade show success point of view. Let's pretend that it's not Chase, but it's, someone who sells car seat covers at the auto show, right? If they've got some mobile app and they've got a QR application or something going on where they want to create some sort of interaction, how important is it to train their employees on what the strategy is?
Oh, obviously it's crucial, and also making the experience compelling for you is even more important. So, one way they might have gone, for example, would be to allow you to scan a $1 check into your account and get you started that way.
Right. In my suggestion on the blog, I said they could have easily posted checks all over the Open. They had ATMs in several locations. They could have posted a check at those ATMs and say, scan this with your Chase card, and then come by the booth and see if you won, or whatever. So there is no need for the booth to do that scanning. The scanning could have been done all over the Open, and that's even drives their point even further, right?
Well, they could have had an employee there with a printer who actually generates a check for you that you can scan.
Yeah.
And that would have been cool.
Yeah. There were a bunch of things they could have done. So it was awfully interesting. But obviously Chase is really on the cutting edge in terms of mobile and check scanning. And so, we think that...
Well, here's a question. Were you engaged enough to move forward with check scanning?
Yeah, I'll try it again. I had tried it on my previous iPhone, and it only worked okay, but I'm going to try it again now that I've got the app up and running. So,
because the truth is that, scanning a check on a mobile phone is, it might be seamless and might not be. You have to get both sides of the check.
Right.
And when you use a desktop check scanner, it's basically like, it's like a check reader at an ATM. You just run them right through. I think that, if you're going to do one check, mobile would be okay for that. But I think if you have 10 checks to do, it's probably not going to be a seamless experience.
Right. Let's move on to American Express because we're actually running out of time again.
No.
So American Express, they want you to check in with Foursquare and Facebook, and if you connect that to your Amex account, your account number, they will give you $10 back if you spend $20 on food at the booths at the USOpen and use your Amex card. But they didn't tell you that they had this promotion until you were actually up at the counter. And so they could have had screens with a QR code that got you to this website to do all that sort of registration. Again, that's, I think, one of the things that QR really does is seamlessly get you to the right page, which could be any crazy URL, to enter into some sort of sweepstakes, because it's always going to be a little bit complicated, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the saying about QR, which is that QR is to mobile as URLs are to the web.
Right.
So they make getting to the URL easier. The thing is that, we all know about the web that it's about a lot more than just getting to the URL.
Right. Yeah, so to me, the whole thing comes down to planning. It comes down to scenarios, and I'm working on a white paper now which talks about the fact that today's marketers are actually, they need to think of their lives as software engineers. They need to think about what are the interactions that their end user is actually going to go through in order to engage and have a positive experience and hopefully buy the product or watch the TV show or whatever it might be. And that if you're not thinking about your end user as if they were, a technology user, and think about yourself as a technology provider, you're missing the boat, because all those steps need to be considered when you're getting a consumer to do what you want them to do.
Oh, totally. I mean, the marketer totally has to put himself in the shoes of the consumer, and I think you're going to see a lot more of this as we see the ongoing race for the smartphone to become your wallet.
Right.
So, for example, we have PayPal and we have American Express and we have Google. When NFC arrives in a few years, they're all going to want you to use your smartphone the way that Chase has you using your Blink card. And in order to do that, they're really going to have to make it painless for the consumer.
Right. So with just a few minutes left, why don't you talk about a phenomenal use of a QR code that you've seen, and a little bit of QRSYNQ if you'd like.
Sure. I mean, for us, the killer usage is at events or in conjunction with print media, where the smartphone user actually wants to release his information to the code owner. So let's say, for example, you're reading a magazine and you have the opportunity to slip a business card into an ad so that the owner of the ad would continue updating you or would call you. That's really what a QR code allows you to do. With one scan, with QRSYNQ, you can be in continual touch with the code owner. Likewise at trade shows. You visit a booth that you're interested in, you scan their code, and you're now in ongoing touch with that booth owner, together with the fact that you have a web console where you can view everything that you've scanned.
Right. So really, that's where we need to start thinking about is really purpose-driven interactions where you've thought through all the different steps along the way, and that's what QRSYNQ is really trying to deliver. is a platform where you can be as creative as you want, and make sure that you can create that two-way flow of information between the consumer, the corporation, and make sure they're each sharing what they need to share.
Totally. Also, we have to keep in mind that the smartphone is not the desktop.
Right.
So, the smartphone is not where you're going to want to fill out forms.
Right.
The smartphone is not where you're going to want to refer back to what you've scanned and organize it. So there needs to be tight synchronization between the smartphone and the web, and that's what we provide with QRSYNQ.
That's on that Panasonic scenario. I thought about that. I really thought they dropped the ball also by not just saying, just an email address would have been fine, right? If they QRSync and said, tell us your email address, and then I QRSync, and then I shot the QR 2 more times, they could have just followed up to my email address and had me go through the rules when I got back to my desk.
Yeah, by requiring repetitive action, marketers are making QR an unpleasant experience for the consumer. And a lot of consumers will say about QR, well, yeah, I tried it once and it's kind of interesting, but I don't really see where it's going.
Yes, I think one of my takeaways is that QR without either a mobile app or a really simple next step can be a real screw up.
Yeah, I would take that one step further. I would say that QR without the proper app is like the web without a browser.
Excellent. Well, that's a good tagline to leave us with. Brett Goldberg, thanks so much for your time today. I hope you'll come back again on 10 Minute Strategy, and we'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure.